Hey, hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up, Giddy team?
How's it going?
Hola.
Hey, well, first off, congrats on the Thorchain integration. You guys put in cross-chain swaps to Bitcoin, to and from Bitcoin the other day. So huge congrats on that, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Do you guys want to start off with some quick intros? I'll start. It's Familiar Cal from the Nine Realms team. We do infrastructure, integrations, security, core dev work for Thorchain.
Yeah, I could go next. Brendan here, also one of the co-founders at Giddy. Also background in computer science, been a dev for a lot of years. Been here since the beginning of Giddy, so several years now. It's been a lot of fun building in this space. So excited to be here chatting with you guys.
Yeah, Travis Tidwell here. I am the head of marketing. I'm mostly here just to look good and to feel good and to feel the vibes. But yeah, a little bit of background. I've actually been in the cryptocurrency space for a little while, just kind of personally. In fact, even way before crypto, this is hard to believe, like 2006 timeframe, I was working at a cryptography company doing SSL kind of website stuff. So just been really tracking the space for a super long time. Love being part of it. Love the community and good times.
Awesome. Yeah. Any more information about your team? You guys are like, how big is the team? You guys are U.S. based, right? So just yeah, any kind of information just about like where you guys came from, or how'd you all get together even, and like form this little group. Yep.
Hey Eric, can we pause real quick? Sorry to interrupt you. I'm hearing from a few people that they can't hear you speak. I don't know, Tyler, if that's
I can
something
hear
you.
him. It
Yeah,
sounds fine to me. Yeah.
I can hear him and so can Brendan. We're all chatting, but like I'm looking, we've got a few people saying they can't hear speakers. Uh,
Damn. Can people hear me? Okay. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. All right.
Maybe we need to hop out and back in again. We got three people making comments that they can't hear Eric.
Yeah, try. Yeah, let's try leaving. You guys try leaving and coming back, so I don't have to start up a new space, and then let's see if that works. And if you're a listener and you can't hear, then just hop out and hop back, and we'll get it started in 2 minutes here. Yeah. Thanks, Elon.
Okay, I'm back. I can just say some words and see if people can hear me any better. Checking Slack here. Oh, okay. I guess
All right.
people are saying
Maybe
in
we're
our
back.
company Slack that they can hear.
We're back. Cool.
I mean, we're back. Okay.
All right, let's get back into the mining. All right, let's start from square one.
Yeah. So, the question was just like, what's the background, how the team get together, all that. Um, so what I was talking about is my first introduction to crypto was with mining. I started mining Bitcoin back in 2012, and then I just thought building computers is fun. So I didn't think I didn't think anything about this being potentially like a 300,000x on my original investment or whatever. I was just being a nerd doing nerd things. So I started mining Ethereum again in around 2016, and the bottom sort of fell out of the market when those ICOs got smacked down by the SEC. So I just kind of moved on to other things. But around 2019, 2018, 2019 or so, um, I was just kind of randomly building a gaming PC, and graphics cards were they were just impossible to come by. So actually, Brendan and me were just kind of trolling around on the internet trying to score graphics cards. We were flipping some of them, but if you had bots looking at like eBay and like, oh dude, the black magic recipe for snatching graphics cards on Best Buy's website in like 2019, it was just so fun. It was so stupid. Um, so and that just kind of got me thinking about like what is going on here? Why are they so expensive? And then you start learning about their hash rates and what they're doing on the Ethereum network, which of course at the time Ethereum was proof of work. And then that sort of led me down the rabbit hole of like of DeFi. um I had heard, obviously the big um uh, uh, d- innovation with Ethereum is this concept of a smart contract. You can write code, you can put it on the blockchain, and I just never really dug very deep into it. I'd always been more interested on the hardware side and the mining side. So this was really the first time that I dug super deep into what's possible with DeFi. And of course that led me into just the most absolute degen of degen kind of plays. Like I was up till like 2 a.m. I was awake again at like 5 a.m. just trading these meme coins. And all over Binance Smart Chain you have these waves of like there's like the food decks, and there's like the animal decks, and it got to the point where it was like, like literally scam names like Nigerian Prince token and all that kind of stuff. And so I kind of I dabbled a little bit in writing code and launching tokens, and for the most part I was just doing like early token launches. And I got lucky a couple times. I just as much as like the crazy froth right now on Solana makes like no sense. It was the same thing was happening right in like 2019 on all these exchanges. So I just kind of bought into some projects that I thought were cool, and all of a sudden I get this like stupid like 30x return or whatever on a relatively small amount of money. But I remember talking to my brother, just saying like, dude, I just did this thing. It's the crypto. It's the blah blah blah, and just the eyes glaze over, right? Where it's like, this sounds confusing and annoying. I don't want to touch it. And then I went to Brennan. And I was just like, I just made like some stupid amount of money. Like, what is this? So we both start looking in it, together. We got into some other token launch, did pretty well, and then at that point, I went back to my brother and was just like, okay, dude, I just like 13x my money. This is crazy. So that got him into it. Anyway, like our roots in this are really similar to a lot of people in the space. I think we're all kind of computer science dudes, software backgrounds. We got totally hooked on just how fun it was getting involved in the space, and then you start to realize things like, oh my gosh, like there is literally a law in the United States about how you're allowed to make money if you're not rich, right? You've probably heard of this concept of like accredited investors and what it means to invest into like private security vehicles, hedge funds, and VCs and whatever. It all kind of came to a head for me at the same time where I was kind of, I was whatever, 10 years, maybe more into my career. I had enough good things going for me that I could kind of plan for the future. But I'm like, dude, I'm going to be in the rat race for the rest of my life. Like, unless I get lucky in my job and I don't know, some executive at Walmart decides to promote me past the point of vest wearer, like I'm stuck. So I just got thinking about just what it means for the world to have equal access to opportunity, and the fact that on-chain economics and DeFi and stuff could make that happen. I'm sitting here doing relatively sophisticated financial things with like $10 just because I know how to use the internet, and I figured out how to use like MetaMask or whatever. So it just, man, it completely lit my brain on fire. This whole concept of DeFi and on-chain economies and how it's all tech enabled and how someone like me could make a difference just because I was nerdy enough to get hyper focused on this thing for a minute. And ah, man. So anyway, I'll pause there for just a second, but yeah, like the origins, how all this started for us was, I just got completely enthralled. I couldn't put it down, and it kind of led us down this path of where we are today.
And I'll tag on to that. You kind of asked how did we meet each other? Where did the team come from? So Eric and I have worked at several different companies, started some side companies over the years together. And when Eric was kind of becoming a DeFi degen zombie, he'd show up to like stand-ups at our tech company we were both working full time at, kind of with like bags under his eyes. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you getting into? And then, like you said, he showed me kind of how DeFi works, and we jumped in, all those years ago. And we saw the potential, but we also saw how complex it was to get in. So we're like, well, we're good at building product. We had worked with some fintech companies. Let's wrangle together some of our friends we've worked with over the years and productize this, make this accessible. And you've heard that a lot over the years as you've been in crypto, make it more accessible. So we felt like we had the chops to do that. So we set out to make this mobile app that you can download right now, the Giddy mobile app, and make access so much easier for people. And avoid a lot of the pitfalls, sending your money to the wrong place, making a bad swap, getting a bad approval. We just wanted to put up some guardrails for people to play in a little bit of a safer way in DeFi. And that's kind of what brought us to starting the company.
Yeah, very cool, guys. I've heard a lot of similar stories where people just, get really involved in just doing things on chain, and then are like, wait, there's some really cool applications out here that you can do and you can build. And I mean, honestly, I kind of had a similar story where I thought Bitcoin was super cool and didn't really understand things like smart contracts and like what's really possible there. But then just like learning about Thorchain and like what it can enable for just non EVM environments. That's kind of where I started really going deep down the rabbit hole of just like what's really possible in this space and what can be built. So that kind of led us to where we are today with like Bitcoin DeFi and just like expanding possibilities there, just beyond just Ethereum and other EVM environments.
Yeah, I was curious about your so the Thor chain, Thor team, all this development work. What was like the initial spark, right? The way I see it now, it's like this amazing set of architecture for connecting, Bitcoin and other chains, and obviously you can go far beyond that. But were you setting out originally to kind of like help Bitcoin, break out of this centralized exchange shell or whatever? Yeah, I'm curious what the original kind of motivation was to start
Yeah,
building this
sure. I
for
mean,
us.
I definitely was not around back in those days. I only learned about Thorchain about 3 years ago, and I joined the team, the Nine Realms team, about 2 years ago. So I'm definitely not like the first person to hear about Thorchain or to start getting involved with this type of thing. I learned about it as it was coming on to the mainnet and starting to delve into Bitcoin. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, so like Thorchain started back in 2018 at a Binance hackathon just as a way to just do exactly what you're saying, make it an environment where you can swap Bitcoin and do DeFi things just with native Bitcoin, and and today that's really obviously evolved a lot since then, and there's been like years and years of R&D that kind of went into that first proof of concept, like 2018 to 2021, to even get the mainnet rolled out, but uh, obviously that's grown in scope just a ton over the years and has kind of inspired a lot of other projects to you know adopt similar designs and use similar concepts in their own networks. So I mean, nowadays native asset exchange, it seems pretty obvious. So that's what captured me from the beginning. And once I heard about it, I was like, this is something that's pretty special, and obviously something that adds a lot of value to the space and to Bitcoin as a whole, which is like the main thing I was interested in.
I love hearing that, by the way. It's obvious now. Being so completely like early to the movement, really being a trailblazer and bringing this kind of thing, into reality. I mean, it's got to feel pretty good. Also, I completely agree. It's one of the most obvious use cases for crypto that I can see. And so it's both a use case, meaning like I want it now. I want to be able to go from native Bitcoin to EVM chains and vice versa. And also, I see this as just fundamental architecture building blocks required for the future. So as obvious as the use case is today, when when you've really made it is when all of that hard work completely blends into the background, right? Like you think about just some of the absolute giant, the mammoths out there, uh, you don't even know their names because they're so core to how our systems and economy works that it's almost like they're so big you don't see them. So anyway, I see this tech going in that direction, like being able to do decentralized self custody, super important actions like swapping between chains. Man, that's massive. So kudos to you guys for seeing that and building just a really good version of it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, been building like on this for the entire bear market, but really just validated over the past couple of months with volumes really exploding since we released streaming swaps, which just cuts down fees just by many times for big swaps. So now scale, like it's basically just like building the building blocks for years, and then all of a sudden just like uh, just a switch to turn on just a tidal wave of volume, which has really happened over the past couple months. And like last week hitting 500 million dollar trading days, it definitely seems like it's just the start for the biggest scalable infrastructure for Bitcoin trading.
okay, you started this bear market, right? Or sorry, bull cycle. You started the bull cycle is what I meant to say. I swear, like months ago, like 4 or 5 months ago, dude, and you can correct me on the timeline here, but I swear the first thing I remember seeing when like, everyone is like so depressed and we're all in build mode, obviously, we're all heads down. I swear the first like ember or spark I saw of this bull cycle was this thing called Thorchain going nuts on volume, right? Like this was like last November or December where all of a sudden you started breaking records and stuff. Does that kind of line up with streaming swaps being
It
launched?
it does actually, but I'm not going to take. I mean, we're not going to take credit for that. There's definitely like
No,
some
take all the
ETF
credit. It's
craziness
Thorchain
going on
only.
for
It
that.
was you specifically. You did the.
We'll take it.
He just doesn't want to take credit because we got a little bit of a down cycle, a little retracement happening here. So once we start pumping up again,
No,
Well, I
that's
mean,
that's
honestly,
Solana's
there were a
fault. That's
couple
Solana's fault.
days.
That's
There were
not Thorchain's fault.
back in October when there was the first days where we were breaking record volume. I think we were like 300 million a day in volume. There was some time there where Thorchain was setting the global Bitcoin price, where there was so much trading activity going on Thorchain that it was moving the markets on centralized exchanges because of the arbs were just going back and forth, just trying to move liquidity in and out, and the Bitcoin price went up to like 50K on Thorchain or something like that, and it was just sucking in Bitcoin from all the centralized exchanges from arbs trying to come in and capture on the opportunity there because there's so much volume going on. It was some crazy
That's
days back
rad.
there. So all right, we'll take partial credit for it.
I totally get it. It's there's we're all standing on the shoulders of giants, and there's a lot of factors that are at play here. But I swear, I started accumulating certain more tokens again when I saw this Thorchain action. When I caught the vision of like, holy crap, we can actually get Bitcoin off of centralized exchanges, like for real. We can do this in a decentralized, safe way. Man, it was mind blowing for me, and seeing all that volume happen at scale. The way that you intended it to and by the way, this something I was curious about, and you can kind of correct me where I'm wrong, but the earliest versions of Thorchain I sort of envision as being a collection of like smart contracts, just kind of like dispersed, or disparate bits of code trying to sync with each other. The latest version of Thorchain is like this beautiful machine. It's its own network. It's just massive, and kind of like evolved since then. Is that kind of a correct characterization, or am I missing something?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely massive. It's probably one of the most massive code bases in all of uh, in all of crypto, and probably one of the biggest open source projects that's out there. Just in terms of like how massive in scope it is, uh, just so many different little complexities in the code base. Like we people comment all the time about how crazy impressive, but also complex the code base is. But yeah, I mean, it's a very unique beast that hasn't really been quite replicated by anybody else, just because it's such a massive undertaking. Like if it was easy, then this would have been built like many years ago, and it would already be done. But it's definitely not. It's the exact opposite of like a simple machine.
Yeah, and I think the point there is you don't get to. So I remember seeing at one point in time, there's a tweet where you guys mentioned that you did like 2% of the global spot Bitcoin volume, or maybe it was more, which it's just it's a stupid amount of money. It's so impressive. You don't get to the point where you are affecting the global market without paying that price. Like it's a work of art. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, cool guys. I'm curious to learn more about like what you guys are building. So I know like one of the main things that you guys talk about a lot is just the private key management on Giddy. But so I'm curious to learn a little bit more about that and just like expand on that for the audience and everything. But also just what other kind of things you're interested in the app, and like what exactly you're building for, like what kind of other products you guys have besides just like the private key management, and like what can you do on the wallet.
Yeah, awesome. So the private key stuff is it's another one of those things that is it's required to scale crypto as a whole, right? Like you can't get people into crypto, especially if you want to do it right, in my opinion, the decentralized self-custody version of it. You can't do that without tech that just works and is usable. And a lot of the difficulty and insanity, it needs to be abstracted out. So we started with this goal of self custody DeFi, but without regular people needing to become cybersecurity experts. We wanted everyone to be able to control their own private keys without having to like write down a seed phrase and just get really hardcore about it. And you still obviously can. Our wallet is a regular EOA wallet. It's not a contract wallet, on chain multisig kind of a thing. It's just a regular EOA with tech built on top to secure and make your private key recoverable. So there's a lot that goes behind the tech, but I think probably the most important thing to understand about the way that we approached it is we did not want to do computing with private data on the cloud off of your client. And what that means is we were faced with like this problem of how do you abstract a private key? What are the strategies? What are the solutions? And and this is an oversimplification, but what it boils down to is you can do you can do work on the client to break apart and recover your private key, or you can do distributed work on the cloud to break apart and recover your private key. So it's basically an MPC style architecture versus a TSS, threshold secret sharing style architecture. And again, this is an oversimplification. There's a lot more that goes into it than just this, which I always feel the need to say because we've done an enormous amount of cryptography work at our company, and it gets complicated, and the precision matters, right? But the point is that we did not want to do anything on the cloud that could potentially cause weakness to this solution to this algorithm. And the reason that matters is so recently, and I don't really, I don't really want to name names of companies that were using this MPC, but there's this YouTube video floating around, and some cryptography dudes at oh man, was it at Consensus? I forget what company it might have been the company behind MetaMask. I'm gonna need to go look it up again, but and I can share the video too. It's really interesting. But they hacked the most popular, the most used MPC algorithms, and what it boiled down to was these. So clients would talk to the internet, and they would give the internet private data. In other words, like bits of your private key to be computed on to get your private key out of the cloud. And these guys figured out a way to basically figure out what the other client's secrets were. So most MPC algorithms work by like you, the user, you have one secret, and then there's other entities over on the internet that also have secrets. You put those secrets together, you do some computation on them, and you create a signature that you can put on the blockchain. And just the fact that that computation is happening in the cloud, it means that the other parties can kind of test against what the feedback they get from the other secret holders. And these guys, they broke it. We like 2.5, 3 years ago, we saw that vulnerability, and we made the decision to not do MPC specifically because of that reason. And it's my opinion that any NPC algorithm, as long as you are computing with private data over the internet on the cloud, is vulnerable to those same kinds of attacks. So I'll just put that out there. We're not doing MPC specifically for that reason. We're doing a version of threshold secret sharing. It's kind of like a modified version of Shamir secret sharing, if you've ever heard of that. But what it means is that you, the end user, you are the only one with secrets. They're not distributed over the internet. It's only you. It's your one of the so your private key gets broken up into shards, into little pieces. Those shards are derived from your Google login. The one can be stored on your phone. It's protected by your biometrics. One can be like a password that you just memorize or put into a password holder. There's another one that can be encrypted and protected by like a Google Authenticator app, right? The really important thing is that the internet, from Giddy's point of view, is just a storage container. It's just a dumb storage container. So when you go and fetch those keys, the magic happens on your phone. So you're not giving away secrets to the internet. You're just storing encrypted bits of information and then bringing them back to your phone to bring your private key back together. So that's a very wildly important distinction, and it's a pretty technical one. But what it means for you is for a Giddy user that has a Giddy wallet, you have a public-private key pair that works on any EVM chain that is protected by multi-factor authentication that only you have access to. There's not any other third parties out there, including Giddy, that can recreate your key. It's something that it's so easy to use. It just takes an email, basically email and a password. But it's so powerful that you can just like any other wallet, if you lose all of your factors, that's kind of it. Like it's truly self-custodied. So it's recoverable because there's multiple factors. It's truly self-custody. It's truly owned by you. And then as it relates to the Thorchain, actually, we're using your same basic uh, cryptography, the same way that you create and recover your private key. We're using that scheme to create your keys for the Bitcoin mainnet, as well as other non EVM chains. So you can have one login, so just one Google account, one Apple account, one email, and it all of a sudden you have public private key pairs for all EVM chains and every other layer one as well. So there's an enormous amount of work that's gone into that, a lot of detail that I'm kind of skipping over, but our users can sign in with an email and have a self custody wallet that talks to that's compatible with any chain, because of the way that we've kind of designed this architecture. So that is what you experience when you download the Giddy app and make an account. You'll see that you don't have to write down a seed phrase. You can if you want to. Certainly don't have to. And then you can lose your phone. You can lose your password. As long as you have two factors, you can always recover and get back your private keys and have that account. So that's kind of the foundation of this platform that we built. Like the first thing is you have a self custody wallet that's recoverable, that's secure, that we, the Giddy, the company, cannot get, and neither can anybody else. And then on top of that, we've done integrations with different protocols, different like Aave, Curve, Balancer. We started on the Polygon network. We've expanded since then to Ethereum and Arbitrum and Bitcoin mainnet. So the products that we're putting on top of this wallet are native on-chain products. So you can lend USDC with Aave. You can add liquidity to Balancer. We have some other. Obviously, you can swap tokens between other things. We also developed a way to pay for gas in multiple different tokens. We developed a way to do transaction batching so that you don't have to do multiple swaps and then create an LP and stake it and stuff. We take care of a lot of multiple steps for you in a single transaction. So and there's there's a lot of detail that goes into all that too. But what you have now is basically a platform where anybody, whether you're a crypto head or not, can have a self custody wallet. You have access directly to the blockchain without an intermediary, and it's secure, it's fast, it's safe, it's cost efficient, and yeah, maybe maybe I'll take a breath there. You guys can jump in too if you want to, Brendan and Travis. But yeah, our whole goal here is we want native, truly decentralized, truly self custody crypto to be accessible by everybody, and you can't do that unless you build a foundation of technology that enables all those user experiences.
Yeah, like our goal, kind of to summarize it, was to just build a better browser. Like you think about the old days of the internet, right? You had these really hard to use browsers, a lot of like in the 80s and stuff, like command prompt terminals. You had to know how to code and stuff. And we saw that as kind of like the state of DeFi in 2020, 2021. And so we wanted to just build like Netscape Navigator or Internet Explorer, maybe not the best comparison on that one, but we wanted a better and safer browser. And we didn't want to go recreate all of the content on the internet. So what we do in Giddy is we connect you to existing pools, like you mentioned, Aave pools, Curve pools, on-chain swaps through these different dexes. And now, of course, Thor fits perfectly into our thesis because we don't want people to have to go dump their Bitcoin on Coinbase, pay all these fees to swap it and send it back out. You can just do all that on chain. So anywhere people are building great infrastructure, great content on chain, that's what we want to connect our users to and just give them a much better experience at doing that with fewer pitfalls, fewer opportunities to lose your money and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about like why do people use exchanges, right? They use it because it's convenient. It just feels familiar. And honestly, that's what keeps people going back to those places. We hear all the time from people saying, yeah, I bought my crypto on Binance, or I bought it on Coinbase, or I bought it on Kraken or just one of these sort of centralized exchanges. But I know I shouldn't keep it there. I know I should move it over. And so the flow becomes buy it there, transfer it, move it over to a self custody wallet, or in a lot of cases, it just sort of stays there, never moves off. So the reality is that we wanted to, and we think that ultimately this is where crypto is going, is for it to be able to fulfill that promise of being decentralized, trustless, permissionless, to be totally on chain. That experience has to be as convenient, as flexible, easy to use as going to an exchange. It just isn't right now, and it's going to take a bunch more work to get there. But yeah, that's what we're working towards.
Yeah, we're super aligned with you guys on that. Especially, Thorchain's main purpose is to enable self custody and to allow you to have that centralized exchange experience. I hate having to keep saying centralized exchange all the time because obviously Thorchain is the opposite of that. But being able to have that experience of just swap your assets whenever you want, especially Bitcoin, without losing self custody of your assets, which is really the most important thing, is just enabling self custody, which is one of the most valuable things about this entire space is just the ability to custody your own funds. So just being able to enable all kinds of DeFi apps, not just Thorchain, obviously, is it's a great strategy for you guys, and I think we're super aligned, and that's the way that the space is moving towards. It just makes sense that the final resting place for all this stuff is all going to be on chain. I don't think that anyone could truly believe that the most liquid venue for the most decentralized currency in the world is going to be Coinbase and Binance and Kraken. It just seems obvious that it's all going to be on chain, where everything is auditable, and there's a lot less trusted components that need to happen to do things on chain. So yeah, we're happy to help provide you guys some infrastructure to just make it easier for users to swap, and hopefully that's just the start of of you guys building on Thorchain, is starting with the swaps, but then obviously we have a ton of other verticals as well that should enable users to take more control of their assets with self custody, but then do things like earning with savers or lending. But obviously swaps is that's our bread and butter, and something that really brings a lot of power to self custody holders, especially Bitcoiners.
Did you happen to use Gemini or BlockFi before everything went down?
Me personally, no, but I know many people who have.
Yeah. So we we started this in early 2021, and we've been talking about this stuff since the beginning, how important self custody is and private keys and all that. We noticed a huge, massive change. It was like a overnight inflection point when all that stuff went down with FTX and BlockFi and Gemini. All of a sudden, people thought they had all this money that was locked. They didn't have it anymore. Overnight, we heard regular folks, and that's for the most part, that's who we try to approach with our marketing and messaging and stuff, is people who are sort of crypto curious, maybe have no experience. We started hearing these people talk about custody. We never heard anyone else say that word. For a year and a half as we're building our stuff, all of a sudden it's private keys, it's custody, it's ownership. I think as native crypto people, we've understood this for a very long time, and we're still pounding that drum, but it's becoming more and more and more obvious to people why it matters, because we're getting these emails now from Gemini that say hey, this bankruptcy thing might go our way. You might be able to get your money back. I really hope every single dollar, gets back into the hands of the right people.
Dude, we don't just talk about it too. We actually experience it. Not to call anybody out, but somebody on this call may or may not have bought some crypto from one of those companies you talked about and stored it there. And I don't know, Brendan, you want to talk about your experience there? Diamond hands, Brendan?
Yeah, no, we have firsthand experience with this. We are very much on the camp of hold your own money. It's funny because it was kind of this theme even prior to those crashes. People were like, hey, you don't know what they're doing with that money. Oh, look what, Celsius, look what these guys are doing. It looks a little risky. And, of course, all of that went down. and it really just solidified the point. Everyone that was like banging the drum of hold your own keys, hold your own crypto was right all along. And yeah, we really saw that theme catch on with what we might call normies, like regular folks were taking notice. So
it's just cracking me up because the gist of it being that you bought towards the all-time high, and then because all of that happened, all those assets got frozen, which super sucks. I mean, completely turbo boned, can't get access to the money, never know if you're going to get it back. And then watched it as Bitcoin dropped all the way down to 16 and then all the way back up again to all-time highs, and you're back in the green on this money that hopefully you get. So,
it was
maybe
a
that is
forced
the
diamond hands
one
move.
the one positive feature is if your money gets locked up, it forces you to hold on to it. Maybe that's something we should develop. People can
We've
just
actually
auto-lock their funds.
we consider that as a feature. You can we can have a smart contract that locks your money for some amount of time. We call it like the diamond hands contract. Like you can't actually sell. We'll see. We'll see if we pull that one off.
Nice.
So kind of like what you're saying, Tyler, we're incredibly aligned on the notion of bringing on-chain super powerful things to everybody via tech, via user experience. Tell us a little bit more about what you've been developing recently. So we have swaps, we have streaming swaps. I know there's some other pretty cool stuff. I wonder if there's anything you want to touch on with kind of some of the newer developments.
Yeah, sure. I mean, swaps is the bread and butter of Thorchain, in my opinion, because swaps is really what drives organic activity to the network, and it's also just the most salient feature for something like something like a Giddy wallet to integrate, because there's such little risk involved with swaps, especially because obviously the funds are only held in the brief moment that there is custody of the assets. When the swap is actually in flight, the user starts in self custody, ends in self custody, so it's very low risk for anyone to integrate cross-chain swaps, and also very easy to monetize as well. So like that's been my focus, is just putting out cross-chain swaps into some of the biggest and best apps in this space, and especially wallets, because I think that's really one of the best layers to infiltrate is just the wallets, especially in the cross-chain space. But either way, we've been building some other big features on top of Thorchain. I mean, the two biggest ones are Savers and lending. So Savers being Thorchain's single-sided earn product, where deposit native Bitcoin, earn yield on native Bitcoin through in the liquidity pools. So there's no impermanent loss. It kind of changes the dynamics of a traditional dual LP a little bit, but it's a very interesting product for a type of user that doesn't want rune exposure to where that's much more difficult to understand. Dual LP product with impermanent loss. Savers is just deposit Bitcoin, earn native Bitcoin, and you just earn swap fees from when people swap, and it's low yields compared to like a dual LP, but it's relatively risk free. Not saying it's risk free, but it's a relatively low risk where your principal is protected by the dual LPs. So Savers has been live for about a year and a half now. It launched November 2022, and Savers has been earning all the assets on Thorchain, all the layer one gas assets, including Bitcoin. So it's a really easy product for Bitcoiners to earn a yield on their Bitcoin. Obviously, it's held by Thorchain while it's happening, so there is network risk that happens. Obviously, when someone else is holding the coins, but that's a super cool product. And the other thing, obviously, being lending, which has received a lot of press recently, just from us raising the caps. So the caps have been raised on lending, so you can borrow against native Bitcoin or Ether. You can get a 50% LTV loan. So put in one Bitcoin, get 35K of USD denominated debt in whatever asset you choose, and you pay that debt back, and you get that Bitcoin back. So no interest, no liquidations. It's one of the coolest products in all of DeFi, and it's getting a lot of attention just because of its pretty incredible terms for the borrower.
We love that kind of stuff. We've seen our users in particular, a lot of them being on the newer side, have kind of struggled with the concept of LPs, impermanent loss. Like they feel like they're earning, but then they get wrecked by the impermanent loss. And so like the single asset pools are really what people are kind of focusing on, at least our users. So we've seen some great success there. We recently launched native partial ETH staking. It's actually powered by Kilns Infrastructure. They're another really cool team. And so you can go on the Giddy app, stake your ETH, single asset. It's the realest of real yields, right? Network validation, and get a nice yield. So as Thorchain has started rolling these products out, we're definitely taking notice and hope to expand to offer more of that as well. It just makes sense for people to get it. They're holding their Bitcoin, they have that exposure. Why not earn on that as well? It feels like you're winning twice. So really excited about moving forward with more of those integrations.
Yeah, I have to give a shout out to Savers. I did a relatively deep dive. I was DMing Tyler over the course of, like, I don't know, 2 months, just like, do I have this right? Do I have this right? And Savers, and Tyler already summed it up. Like, it's not zero risk, but it's as close as you can get, earning yield on native Bitcoin and having it as low risk as possible. It's as close as you can get. Like, basically the biggest risk is slippage. Like, if the network is totally upside down, if there's like an actual catastrophe happening, and you try to like withdraw everything all at once, you'll get hit with some slippage. But even that is solved by like streaming swaps. Anyway, Savers is just super rad, right up our alley, just like Brennan said. Just such an awesome product. And like, how many other native Bitcoin DeFi applications are out there? Like, you can do some relatively degen stuff with Raft Bitcoin or whatever, adding to liquidity and sending it away to like pre-sales and stuff. But low risk native Bitcoin DeFi, like, man, it's just really exciting.
Yeah, there's nothing out there that exists on the scale that Thorchain does, especially when you really look into the details about, especially the hard questions, because there's a lot of, like, especially right now, there's a lot of Bitcoin L2s that are popping up, and it really comes down to the trust assumptions of who are the validators of the network and what do they have at stake. And Thorchain is the only network out there that has a permissionless TSS signer set where anyone can come in and start signing these and start validating Thorchain blocks, and also be part of the TSS signer set of the people who actually hold the keys to the Bitcoin. So it's the only one that has a completely permissionless signer set, but it also maintains economic security of the network, where it's always guaranteed that the value at stake by the validators is always greater than the sum of all of the native assets secured. So they're always risking more than there is at stake, which is a really important aspect. And any project that's building on Bitcoin right now, it's really important to understand who holds the keys to the Bitcoins, because many of them have permission signers. So it's a authoritarian validator set where it's some team that's basically custodying all of the coins. What could possibly go wrong? Or it's a permission TSS signer set, like some newer ones that we've seen launching recently that are trying to deal with native Bitcoin. Or there's also no guarantee that there's actually more at stake by the validators than is custodied by the validators, which is really important to ensure that there isn't some kind of civil attack of the network where you could potentially extract more value by stealing the Bitcoin than by just validating the blocks as normal. So yeah, I think it's just important to understand like what the security assumptions are of the network. And Thorchain, one other important point I guess I want to elucidate on a little bit, because I'm just thinking a lot about other networks that are trying to build on Bitcoin recently, is other networks, especially newer ones, their tokens are all held by VCs and team. Thorchain is fully distributed. There's no there's no tokens that are locked up or held by some team. It's been out on the market for many years now. I think 5 or 6 years of Rune has been out there, and has had a lot of time to actually permeate into new and diverse holders, where that translates to just increased security and people that are where it's not one team or one organization, or everyone has a relationship with the core organization that are the TSS signers. So it just makes Thorchain a very robust set of infrastructure that's easily the most decentralized and censor resistant network out there that's even attempting to doing something like this.
Yeah, man, I love it. I've only scratched the surface on all that stuff in my own personal research, but everything that I can see, Oh man, okay. So I've been in software my whole career. I've worked at so many big companies, so many startups. I've seen all the things go down with how you're supposed to run and the culture and the whatnot. One thing that remains true, this is going to sound like the weirdest indicator ever, but a software team's documentation is like a peek into their like hygiene and soul and like how much they care about the thing. And Thor's documentation about what's going on is so good. There's all these dashboards about any number you can possibly imagine. Like I've asked Tyler 100 different times, do you have numbers on this and that and this and that? There's always a link. Like, yes, we've already thought about it, and we have this beautiful dashboard where you can go take a peek. So all of their code is well documented. They have insights into all this data and metadata, and like, you want to talk about a team that's passionate, dedicated, super smart. Yeah, Nine Realms Thor. They got it going on. I've seen nothing but green flags and pot and good signal this entire time. So it's been just awesome working with them, and the products themselves just fit perfectly with what we want to kind of bring more exposure to, and kind of help grow on the DeFi side of things.
Thanks, Ben. We super appreciate it, and it's a community effort. It's definitely not just the Nine Realms team. And there's so many teams that are building on top of ThorChain and really just want to build just the most open, transparent project that's out there, that's doing something even close to this scale of just a whole variety of different things. It's not even just one vertical, as you know. It's like so many different things that are being built on top of ThorChain. So, no, I really appreciate the glowing feedback. And yeah, we share a lot of values. So I think it's just a great fit to add ThorChain to your guys' stack, and it'd be really cool to see you guys work closely with us going forward into the future. We can
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
if people want to come up and ask questions to us or to the Giddy team, now's a good time to just request to come up, and we can leave a couple of minutes here for people to just ask some questions, or if they have some comments, or just want to say hi.
Hey, in the meantime, what's your meme coin of choice, man? What are you watching? You getting some book of memes? You getting some
I would not say right now what my no,
yeah.
I don't I have some ones that I'm looking into and I do enjoy, that I think are pretty funny, but I wouldn't say on this forum. But we can talk later.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat. I've YOLO'd a little bit here and there on funny little projects, but this meme season I've tried to tone it down quite a bit. I'm mostly still allocated into the big projects that I believe in the long term. But it's hard not to meme a little bit. It's just so fun.
It's kind
Yeah,
of part of it.
exactly.
Yeah, it's part of the space. I will say I have to drop right now just for a minute. But Eric and Travis will be around. We'd love to answer any questions you guys have. Thanks for having us for sure on this. It's been a lot of fun. We're really excited about the working with you guys and the integration. Hopefully, bringing more of what you're building into the Giddy platform. Give us a follow. Check us out. We're on the Android and iOS store. There's just search Giddy or Giddy Wallet. It'll pop right up. But thanks. I'm going to drop it. Those guys will hang around.
Appreciate it. I'm not sure if Valerie is the question you've been requesting for a while. So is there a question from Valerie, or are they just coming up? All right. Looks like not. Yeah. So either way, anything else that's interesting that's coming up on your guys' roadmap? Any new features that you guys are building? Any like unique problems that you guys are thinking about solving, or just anything coming up on the horizon?
Yeah. So a couple things. There's more kind of in line with what we've done already with Thor in terms of more networks, more assets, more bridging power. We're still very much wanting to flesh out the product offering as far as connecting more chains and doing more of these like fundamental bridging and swapping features. So like for example, right now our Thor integration is just native Bitcoin and native ETH. We want to make it easier possible to do more assets between Bitcoin and EVM chains. And then so there's kind of some specific things that we're thinking about in terms of bridging and networks. In the long term, the kind of the broader horizon, we're thinking a lot about our ecosystem, holistically, and we've been a little bit hamstrung and by we're a U.S. company, we're VC backed, we are compliant as we possibly can be with the laws as they're written. So we've just been thinking about our ecosystem in broad strokes and how to make it more efficient and more valuable to everybody. I don't really have anything super specific I can share yet, but just throwing it out there, we definitely are aware of the what's going on with, like, for example, the Uniswap team or others who are the goal is to make an ecosystem and a platform that is valuable to the end user and valuable to the people who are propping it up and helping it operate. So, like I said, I can't really share anything specific there, but we're watching very, very closely the landscape of regulation and what we are kind of legally bound to do and not do. There's a third thing that I can kind of talk a little bit about. We want to make it easier to do everything on chain, decentralized, self custody. We want to work towards uh, the ability to kind of like keep everything self custody from beginning to end, including your interactions with fiat, being able to buy and sell crypto. We're again don't have anything super specific that I can share yet, but we're looking pretty heavily into kind of like how we can improve the end user's relationship with crypto and how they do their banking, for those times where you need to go back and forth into fiat. So those are kind of what's on our mind collectively right now. And yeah, in the meantime, we love just kind of uh, spreading the word on what we already have and kind of shining light on our awesome dev partners like you guys. So yeah, in the short term, it'll be more of this kind of thing: more assets, more networks, more chains. In the long term, we're thinking more about just our relationship and the end user's relationship with systems, uh, banking and otherwise.
Cool, guys. Yeah, I think that's a super important problem that a lot of people are thinking about right now, just on and off ramps. And there's a lot of cool projects that are building, uh, on off ramps, like cards that where you can spend USDC or something like that. So there's definitely a lot of interesting um, functionality that's coming out around that. If you need any contacts with like those on off ramp people, then for sure let us know. Or if you guys are talking to people already, then I'm sure things are going to go well with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's a weird thing to be developing because it's like a compliance and a banking and a legal problem more than it is a technical one. And there's still tech involved, obviously, but it's an interesting space to play. Like trying to bridge the gap between industries, it just poses a totally different problem set. So anyway, yeah, I appreciate the offer. I'll probably take you up on that, but it's we've honestly, like, we've been working on this for like 2.5 years. So much BS has happened in the industry on the banking side. It's
Yeah,
not to get
especially in the
too.
U.S. where you guys
Oh my
are.
gosh.
Like, yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like there's a lot more options for people that are overseas. Like even in the EU, which is actually kind of surprising to me that that's really a thing. But just like banking options, fiat on and off ramps, it seems like it's much easier to get done over there than over here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. We really appreciate it. And everyone here should definitely, follow Giddy, check out their app, and it's definitely a really cool app to play around in. And these guys are really cool builders in this space. We really like working with them. So really appreciate you guys coming on. And cool. We'll send out an announcement tomorrow. We'll post the recording of this to our RSS feed, so you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Just search Thorchain Weekly Live, and you'll see every single Twitter space that we do. And we'll put this in the Medium announcement that we'll send out tomorrow about the Giddy integration. But looking forward to talking with you guys again soon.
Thanks a ton. And anyone listening, definitely try out the app. We'd love to hear from you. Any feedback you have, feature requests, anything like that, hit us up. We love that stuff. So thanks a ton for having us. It's really enjoyed being here. And just huge shout out, huge kudos to you and your team. Man, just what a phenomenal community and amazing developers to work with.
Awesome, guys. See you.
See you
Thanks. See ya.
guys. Thank you.